I'm Jolene Wynn, and this is the Porn Addict's Wife podcast, a bonus episode, Why You Don't Want to Forgive Your Husband. I used to think of myself as the wife of a porn addict, but I do not think of myself that way anymore, and you don't have to either. In this podcast, I am going to teach you how to manage your mind and your emotions so that you can stop living your life around your husband's pornography addiction. I am going to teach you how to stop being the victim and how to conquer his pornography addiction, even if he never does. I'm Jolene Wynn. I am a certified life coach, and I am a member of the LDS faith and the wife of a former porn addict. And this is a podcast for the porn addict's wife. Hello, my ladies. I am excited to be doing kind of a fun, different podcast episode for you today. As you guys know, I am teaching a How to Forgive masterclass, and it is launching on Monday, March 27th, and that is inside my coaching program. So if you want to be a part of that masterclass, then you just come join my coaching program and you can join it. Now, in preparation for this, I've been talking a lot about forgiveness on the podcast and also on Instagram and in my emails. And I've been, teaching you guys about the lies that we believe about forgiveness and what forgiveness really is. And do you need an apology and resentment and how that prevents forgiveness and all of these things. And a couple of weeks ago on Instagram, I was engaging with some of y'all. If you don't follow me there, you can at Jolene Wynn Coaching. And I put a poll up. Again, I asked this question. I said, do you want to forgive your husband, yes or no? And 89% of you said yes, and 11% said no, which is totally fine. P.S. And if you're part of the 11% that said, no, I don't want to forgive my husband, then you can go listen to the podcast episode I did just a couple weeks ago, which is, do I have to forgive him? And the answer is no, but I would encourage you to go listen to it because I talk in that episode about what that looks like. What is the consequence of not forgiving him? Okay. Now, I then asked, for those of you who want to forgive your husband, but you haven't yet, why haven't you forgiven him? And I wanted to do this podcast episode and go through the responses that I got to that question. So I'm just going to read them and then I'm going to respond to each of them. Okay. So here we go, ladies, buckle up. All right. One of the responses was, so this is the question, right? What I haven't forgiven him yet. And my question was, why? Why have you not forgiven your husband yet? Okay, so here was the first answer. After 10 months of being in recovery, he lied over the stupidest thing. So that's why she hasn't forgiven him. Okay, totally normal, by the way. But I want you to notice a few things here that really stood out to me. One is that she's keeping track, which is very normal for us to do. When we are in a place where we are kind of obsessing over his use, how long it's been, how we are affected by it, then we tend to keep score almost. We keep track of how long it's been since he's relapsed, how many weeks, how many months, and our brain gets very fixated on the amount of time. Time is something that our brain really wants to focus on because we often gauge that as a measure, right? We often use it as a gauge to measure how well he's doing, okay? If it's been 10 months, then your brain might think that's a long time, or it might think it's not very long. Okay, everybody's going to have different thoughts about it, but our brain often hyper focuses on time because then it makes it mean something. Okay, so after 10 months of being in recovery, he lied about something. Okay, totally fine. She obviously has something that she feels about that. Okay. First of all, there's the judgment of whatever it is that he lied about. He lied over the stupidest thing. Maybe it was stupid. Maybe he didn't think it was stupid. The judgment that you have of that thing, the thing that he lied about, is preventing you from moving forward. That's just adding another layer to something you don't need to add another layer to. Okay. Judgment always adds another layer of emotion that we just don't need. We can just get rid of it. Okay. So he lied. All right, what are you making that mean? Obviously, it means something, and you've connected him lying to how long he's been in recovery. So that's another fascinating thing to notice. Why are you connecting how long he's been in recovery to whether or not he lied and to whether or not it's something you think he should have lied about or not? Okay, do you see this? You're connecting a whole bunch of things that are preventing you from moving forward. So why haven't you forgiven him? Because he lied about something. Totally fine. This is something I hear so often. I don't want to forgive him because what's to prevent him from lying again? Ladies, your forgiveness doesn't prevent him from lying. You don't even have to let him know that you forgave him. All forgiveness means is that you stop feeling anger and resentment. Now, here's what happens often is that we think lying is bad. I happen to think lying is bad as well. I don't think your husband should lie to you. I don't think my husband should lie to me. I think lying is bad. And what we think is that if we forgive the lying, then it means that we're okay with it. And that is not what it means. Okay? Notice that if you don't forgive his behavior, it doesn't change whether or not he changes his behavior. He still gets to decide that, whether or not you forgive him or not. Okay? Whether you forgive him or not, he gets to decide what he's going to do. He gets to decide if he's going to lie to you. He gets to decide if he's going to relapse. That's entirely up to him. Okay? The forgiveness is for you. It's not for him. And it doesn't mean that him lying, whether it was about the stupidest thing or not about the stupidest thing, or whether he had been clean for 10 months or not been clean for 10 months beforehand, all of that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that any of it was okay. It means that you give yourself permission to move forward. Now, this is very, very, very similar to the next comment that someone said, is they said the constant lying. I haven't forgiven him yet because of the constant lying and him saying he won't do it again a million times. Okay. Again, just because someone is lying doesn't mean we can't forgive them. We often think this is very, it goes against a little bit what our brain wants to think because of what we get, again, because of what we make it mean. Our brain likes to think that if someone lies, then maybe it's acceptable for you to forgive him once. And this is actually a really good question to ask yourself. How many times do you think it's okay to forgive him for lying? 5, 10, 50? Is that too many? At what point? Get really specific, get really curious with your brain. I want you to answer this question legitimately. How many times should you forgive him if he lies? Is it once, twice, 4 times, 10? 40? Or is 40 too many? Or is that not enough? 100? Right? Our brain has an idea of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Why? Typically because of what we make it mean. When someone lies to us, especially a spouse that we love and are in a relationship with and we're very, very close to, we feel foolish. And we think that the more he lies and the more we forgive, then we make it mean something about ourselves. We often make it mean that we're naive, that we are foolish. We make it mean that we shouldn't trust him, that we shouldn't forgive him because he's proven to us over and over and over that he's lying. Okay. Now, if forgiveness had anything to do with the other person, then I might be a little bit more convinced, but even then I'm not. Okay. But forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person. Forgiveness has everything to do with you. He can lie to you all he wants. Remember, forgiveness isn't about how often he lies. Forgiveness is about you feeling anger and resentment. Okay, why do you continue to hold anger and resentment for him lying? And are you willing to give yourself permission to let it go? And if not, why not? What comes up for you when I ask you that? When I say, why don't you let it go? All the objections that you have, what you make it mean, that's the really fascinating thing to start looking at. And you can come coach with me and I'll help you look at it because it's not easy. It's not easy to take a look at why our brain actually wants to hold on to pain and resentment, because that's what it wants to do. When you haven't forgiven, your brain is just wanting to hold on to pain and resentment, typically because it validates our story. The story of he did something that was terrible and it hurt me, and I completely agree. He did do something terrible and it did hurt you, but you're the one that's continuing to keep yourself hurt by holding on to the hurt longer and not being willing to let it go. He hurt you, yes, but you are keeping yourself hurt unintentionally, right? So I'm not saying you're doing this on purpose, but I want you to notice you are keeping yourself hurt. He hurt you and you're keeping it there. And I want you to give yourself permission to let it go. That's what forgiveness looks like. And it doesn't mean that you're naive, and it doesn't mean that you're foolish, and it doesn't mean that it's okay that he lied. And it doesn't mean that you're okay with lying. All of that is not true, okay? Here's another response. Why haven't you forgiven him yet? Because he avoids talking about it and claims he has stopped, but doesn't do anything to help me. So many good things in here. Okay, he avoids talking about it. I haven't forgiven him because he avoids talking about it. Of course he avoids talking about it. Ladies, do you understand what comes up for him when he talks about this? Shame, guilt, embarrassment, and so many other things. Do you like talking about the worst thing that you ever did? The thing that you don't even want to admit to yourself that you did? Would you like to rehash that over and over and over again with the one person that it hurt the most? Probably not. Ladies, most of your men love you, and they don't like that they hurt you. They don't like that you're hurting. So of course they don't want to bring it up because they know that it hurts you. Now, I understand your point of view, of course, because I wanted to talk about it and my husband didn't want to talk about it either. The first time he told me about his pornography problem, he said, I've been addicted to porn for the last 6 years, to surprise, and I'm working on it myself. I don't want to talk to anybody else about it, and I don't want to talk to you about it. And that was it. That was how the conversation went, and it was terrible, okay? I get it. But why are you holding on to the resentment if he's not talking about it? Okay, one of the reasons why, it must be because you have a thought that he should be talking to you about it. And that is giving you a valid excuse to keep feeling resentment. Now, if you want to hold on to that excuse, if you want to hold on to that reason and keep holding on to that resentment, go for it. But I want you to know why, and I want you to like your reason. What is that producing? You holding on to resentment for him not talking to you about it, what is that creating in your marriage? What is that creating in your communication? What is that creating in your relationship? Because I promise it's not creating something positive. It's probably causing more of a rift. I also want you to notice that you said he claims that he has stopped. Okay? This is fascinating as well, because in here I can also see that you don't believe him. You don't trust him. So let's say it's true that he has. You aren't even allowing yourself to sit in that possibility. You're not even allowing yourself to believe that he stopped. So many women on here, this is why it's so important to learn how to manage your mind, because so many women think, if he just could tell me that he stopped, then I'd believe him. If he would just talk to me about this, then I'd feel better. No. I love that you contradict yourself here. You're like, he hasn't even talked about it and I really want him to. But then he's also told me that he stopped and I don't believe him. So even if he were talking to you about it, it wouldn't make you feel any better. It wouldn't produce the forgiveness that you're wanting, because his actions don't produce your feelings. And that's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is letting go of emotion. It's letting go of pain and resentment and anger and hurt. And his actions, his words, are not creating your emotions. You just said that. He claims that he stopped. Obviously, you don't believe him. His words are not making you feel any better, which means that even if he were talking about it, it wouldn't make you feel any better. And you're mad that he's not talking about it. Do you see this? You said he also doesn't do anything to help me. He probably doesn't even know where to start, girlfriend. He has no idea. And that's not his job. His job isn't to help you. I mean that with all the love in my heart. And this is the best news I could give you. Your job is to help you, because this is the best news, because if you were always waiting for him to be the one to save you, then you just have to sit and wait. And you have to sit and wait for him to start behaving how you think he should behave in order for that to create the feeling that you think it's going to create. But that's never going to work, because even if he starts talking to you about it, you can still choose not to trust him. You can still choose not to believe what he's saying, which you're already doing. Maybe he isn't helping you, but that's not his job. His job isn't to help you. And if he is helping you, for those ladies who your husband is helping you out, I'm so glad. But even if he is trying to help you, it's not going to work, because what do you want help from? What do you want help with? He isn't doing anything to help me. Help you with what? How you're feeling? He can't, because he can't control your emotions. Thank goodness he can't, because that would put you in a place where you had to wait for him, where he has to change in order for you to feel better. And that is not what you have to do. If you want to forgive him, you can, but it seems right now like you don't. You want to hold on to the story. You want to be mad at him for not talking to you. You want to be mad at him for saying that he stopped and you not believing him. And you want to be mad that he's not doing enough. But just notice that if you keep thinking those, it's just going to continue the pattern of resentment and anger that you have in this relationship. And that's going to continue to create the result in your relationship that it's creating right now. Also, the result that it's creating for you internally. Okay. Here's another response. Someone said, the reason that I haven't forgiven him yet is because I don't trust him. Totally fair. I want you to know that trust and forgiveness are completely separate, and you don't need to have, they're not ones that have to be done at the same time. It is possible to not trust him, but to forgive him. Did you guys know this? Do you know why? Because forgiveness has nothing to do with trust, and trust has nothing to do with forgiveness. They're completely separate, and they're not mutually exclusive. You can do one and not the other, and vice versa. If you want to trust him, you can. I can teach you how. I taught a How to Trust masterclass that you can access when you join my coaching program. That is exactly the same format that I'm teaching my How to Forgive masterclass. So for those of you who liked the How to Trust masterclass, and there were dozens and dozens of you that came, and it was amazing, and I was so glad you were all there, I would encourage you to come to the How to Forgive masterclass because I'm going to be teaching it in the same format. Okay, which kind of goes into my next comment that someone posted was, well, I haven't forgiven him because I'm not totally sure what the meaning of forgiveness is. That's what I'm going to teach in this class. That's what I've been talking about in this podcast. I'm going to teach you what forgiveness is. And I also want you to notice that there's a slight variation in what she said. I'm not totally sure what the meaning of forgiveness is. The meaning of forgiveness is whatever you make it mean. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The meaning of forgiveness is whatever you make it mean. Right now, so many of you have so many thoughts and ideas about what forgiveness means. It means that everything was okay. It means I condone his behavior. It means that everything was fine. It means that I'm naive. It means that I'm foolish. It means whatever it is that you make it mean. Ladies, I want to offer you a completely different meaning based on the definition of forgiveness, which the definition of forgiveness is simply to stop feeling anger and resentment, which I can teach you how to do. That's what I do. I teach you how to manage your emotions, how to process them, how to let them go, how to stop feeling them. Okay? What you make that mean is entirely up to you. What I make it mean is that you simply give yourself permission to stop feeling negative emotion. That's it. That's all forgiveness is. Permission for yourself to let go and start moving forward. The word that came to my mind when I finally forgave my husband was freedom. Forgiveness to me means freedom. And that's what I gave myself. And I didn't even realize that's what I gave myself. Okay, here's another answer someone gave. I haven't forgiven him yet because of his failure to acknowledge that he hurt me, unintentionally or not. This is so common. I have seen dozens and dozens of clients and non-clients alike talk about this. His failure to acknowledge that he hurt me is why I haven't forgiven him. Why? Simply because that's the reason, that's the excuse your brain needs to hold on to all the pain and the resentment. Why am I feeling pain and resentment? Because he hasn't acknowledged that he hurt me. Ladies, you don't need a reason to validate your feelings. You can simply acknowledge your feelings. Here's what we often do. We hold on to resentment and pain, and we look for reasons why we are having that resentment and pain, rather than just allowing it and accepting it. Because that is also possible. Did you know this? You can simply accept that you feel resentment without looking for a reason to validate it. Okay? You don't need a reason to validate it. If you look for one, you will find one. But you can just say, you know what? I'm feeling resentment. Whereas this woman, she said, I'm feeling resentment. And her brain says, why? And she says, you know what? I bet it's because he hasn't acknowledged that he hurt me. Guess what, my lady? Even if your husband had acknowledged that he hurt you, you might still feel resentment. And your brain would simply find another reason to feel it. It would validate it with another reason. Well, he hasn't said he's sorry enough times. I don't think he really means it. He's just saying that to placate me. If he really meant it, he would have thought on it on his own. If he really loved me this much, if he really wanted to acknowledge this, then he would do X, Y, and Z, right? If your brain wants to stay feeling angry and resentful, it will. And it's going to find any excuse that it needs in order to do so. What I want to offer is the alternative, which is when you simply accept your emotions and know that they're valid simply because you feel them, and you don't need to come up with a reason to keep them there, okay? She also went on to say, especially the lying and hiding for so long. Again, notice the emphasis on a timeline. So long. What is so long? Is it days, weeks, months, years? How many years? How many months? How much lying? Again, go back to it. How many lies is too many lies? How many times is too many times? Notice that your brain wants to be particular about the amount of time that it has had to be lied to, and it doesn't want to do it anymore, which I don't blame it, but notice that it thinks that whatever you have been doing is too many. Again, your brain is finding a reason or an excuse to keep that emotion with you longer. Your brain says, I want to stay feeling hurt and angry and resentful because of how long it's been. So you even notice that even if he started acknowledging that he hurt you in the way that you wanted him to, you would still have a reason to stay hurt, because your brain says, well, even if though he says he's sorry, I don't know, because he lied to me and hurt me for so long. Do you guys see this? Do you see how it's all in our own heads? Again, and I don't mean that like you're making it up. You're not making it up. What I mean is that it's all in your own head, which is the best news, because you can manage your own head. He can't. You can. And my job is to help you see that, to see how your brain is taking his actions and making them responsible for your emotion, your pain, your anger, your resentment. And that's why you haven't forgiven him yet, because you're placing him responsible for your emotion, and he's not. Best news I could ever give you, ladies, because this means we don't have to wait for him. Oh my gosh, thank goodness, because we've been waiting for him long enough to get his act together, and it's not going to happen because it's not going to produce the thing that we wanted to produce anyway. Do you guys see this? Now, there are probably a million more reasons why you haven't forgiven him yet, and that's totally fine. But what I want to encourage you guys to do, if you haven't forgiven him and you want to, or maybe you're not even sure that you do, and maybe you definitely don't, but you want to learn more about why, or maybe you really do want to forgive him, but you don't know how, and you don't know how to get over all of these reasons that I just talked about, plus the ones that are coming up for you right now, then I want to encourage you to come to this masterclass. It starts on Monday. I'm going to be spending next week, starting on Monday, March 27th. I'm going to spend 4 days teaching you what forgiveness is and how to do it and helping you apply it personally. And all you have to do is come join my coaching program. This is a masterclass that I am teaching at an upper level to those who are committed and ready to start moving forward. That is why it is only available inside my program. And ladies, my program is sensational. This is a lifetime access coaching program. You join once and you are in for life. It doesn't expire and it only gets better with age. Can you imagine things that don't expire and only get better with age? Everything I buy doesn't get better with age. All of it dies and it fades and it rips and it tears and it shreds, and it doesn't get any better with age. In fact, it gets much worse and then I have to replace it. This you don't have to replace. When you join my coaching program, you get access to my entire library of content, all of my recorded coaching calls. You get access to our twice weekly live coaching calls, so you can get coached by me one-on-one. You get access to our coaching group, which is an incredibly powerful group of women that will offer you support so that you can feel seen and heard. Even when your husband isn't doing all the things and he's not seeing and hearing you, I have a group of women who understand exactly what you're going through and can offer you their support and love. You also get access to me 24/7. I have the ability for you in a private communications app for you to message me at any time. So in times of distress, you can message me. In times when there's something sensitive that you want to bring up and you don't want to bring it up on a call, you can message me personally. This is why I have a lifetime access program, so that you can join now, start working when you're in a really good space, and then in a couple weeks, if your husband relapses, I'm still there for you. This is not a limited access offer for you. This is something that you always have access to. And this is exactly what you need. And I know that because I have helped dozens and dozens of women get to the point where they're not even worried about triggers, where they are confident in their ability. They have learned so well how to manage their mind and manage their emotions that they are confident that they will be able to face and handle and work through anything that comes up in their life because they have learned the tools and they feel confident in their ability to apply these tools. This is why I'm able to do what I do. This is why I'm able to do what I do, because I have used these tools to work through and process and let go of everything from my own relationship with my husband. I have been able to learn how to trust. I have been able to forgive. And that's what I want to teach you how to do, because on the other side of forgiveness, ladies, is freedom. Beautiful emotional freedom. Freedom from the baggage that you've been carrying around. Freedom from the resentment that is causing a rift in your marriage. Freedom from the triggers that used to make me not want to go to the beach. Freedom from everything that was holding me hostage and labeling myself as the wife of a porn addict. It made me free to actually redefine who I am and reinvent myself into someone I never could have foreseen. And that's what I want for you. All you have to do is head to my website, jolenewind.com. You can sign up today for lifetime access to my program. And I want to help you work through all of this next week. Come to my How to Forgive Masterclass, and I will help you one by one. And I will teach you exactly everything you need to know. And I'm going to hold your hand every step of the way. I can't wait to see you there. Hello, my lady. I wrote a book, and I would love for you to read it. It's called The Not Enough Wife, and you can get it on Amazon today. This book is for any woman who has ever felt like she wasn't enough, not enough as a wife or as a mom, if she didn't have Instagram-worthy enough pictures, if she didn't throw Pinterest-worthy parties, if she ever felt like she was not enough, this is the book for her, and it's for you too. So go to Amazon today, go search up The Not Enough Wife by Jolene Wynn, and grab a copy for yourself and for all the women in your life. I hope you love it, and I can't wait to hear what you think.